Hello and welcome to Valuechain News. I am Naomi Oleribe. First, the headlines. NATO, NUPENG, PTD suspend planned strike. NLNG refutes reports on operating illegal international cartels. Fuel price hits 200 naira per litre in Port Harcourt. And now, the news in detail. The Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners, National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, and petroleum tanker drivers have suspended their planned strike following NNPC's intervention. The parties also pledged to collaborate to ensure availability of petroleum products nationwide. The suspension notice was made known in a communique after a critical stakeholders' engagement with the NNPC Limited, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, PTD, NATO, and NUPENG on Thursday in Abuja. The communique was jointly signed by Malam Mele Kyari, Group Managing Director, NNPC, Otumba Salmon Oladiti, National Chairman PTD, Mr. Yusuf Othman, NATO President Williams Aboreha, NUPENG President, and Abiodun Adeniji, Executive Director, Finance and Admin, NMDPRA. NUPENG and PTD had declared to embark on strike based on its investigations, which revealed that officials of the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing were currently diverting the fund provided by NNPC Limited for rehabilitation of 21 critical highways. On road rehabilitation, the communique said NNPC provided updates on the current status of the road construction and rehabilitation projects under the Road Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme. To allay the fears of the stakeholders, NNPC and all parties commit to working together in the monitoring of the road projects, the communique stated. On upward review of freight rates for transporters, the communique noted that the stakeholders requested for conclusion of the ongoing discussion to cover operational costs. NMDPRA informed the meeting that a committee was constituted to review the rates, which included PTD, NATO, and NUPENG, in addition to other stakeholders, adding that all parties agreed to work expeditiously towards concluding the review of the freight rate and make recommendations to the government. The Nigeria LNG Limited (NLNG) has denied the reports making the rounds that top officials of the company and that of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company (NNPC) Limited operate illegal international cartels and illegally ship over $1 billion oil to the US and South American countries. A statement signed by Andy Ode, General Manager, External Relations and Sustainable Development, on Thursday described the report as false and malicious, adding that it was obviously calculated to cast the company and its leadership in bad light. According to Ode, no opportunity was offered to the company to react or respond to the allegations before the reports. Clearly, the report is at best a figment of the writer's imagination. Either the author of the report was simply being mischievous or is totally deficient in the knowledge of the dynamics of the global LNG industry. NLNG said deliveries of LNG from its Bonny terminal complies with all regulatory requirements for the export of its products and are made under various terms and spot sales contracts to destinations not far limited to Europe, the Far East, Greater Middle East, North America, and South America. NLNG is a responsible corporate body operating its business according to strong business principles and ethics in accordance with requirements of relevant Nigerian and global laws and regulations. From the commencement of its operations in October 1999, NLNG has never and does not engage in illegal or backdoor exportation of LNG or any of its products, nor is NLNG involved in any international cartel as alleged. It is simply not true that the illegal exportation is still ongoing with backing of some players in NLNG, or they said, explaining that the LNG trade undertaken by the company is bound by strict protocols and controls. hence not amenable to the kind of illegitimate schemes alleged in the report. Fuel scarcity is biting harder in Port Harcourt as most filling stations are shut, while the fuel dispensing products are characterized by long queues, with the product now selling between 180 naira to 200 naira per litre where available. Most filling stations along Olu Obasanjo Road, Ikwere Road, Choba, Airport Road and Aba Road are not open for business as they have probably run out of stock. Our correspondent gathered that out of 18 depots in Rivers State, only one had products, which is not sufficient to service over 700 marketers in the state. Meanwhile, the leadership of Petroleum Product Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria has blamed the recent queues in petrol stations in Port Harcourt on substandard petrol imported in the country last month. Congo Oil Minister Bruno Jean Richard Itwa has revealed his country's intention on to hold a global energy conference targeted at attracting substantial capital for development. The minister made this known at an international energy webinar forum during the week. Sources said the minister is also seeking to hold either an OPEC meeting or a session of the 9-country OPEC Plus Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee on the sidelines of the conference, which is scheduled for June 15 to 17th in Congo's capital, Brazzaville. This would come at a critical time in the oil markets, with seasonal demand expected to be ramping up with the onset of the summer driving season in the Northern Hemisphere, and the OPEC Plus alliance aiming to return its crude production to pre-pandemic levels by late 2022. Though several members, especially in Africa, are struggling to raise output and have few projects set to come online in the coming years. OPEC's African Growth Meeting, which sources said is yet to be formally presented to the organization, could be one of the last public duties for OPEC Secretary General Mohamed Barkindo, a Nigerian whose term ends in July when Kuwait Haitham Al-Ghais will take over. Under Barkindo's 6 years on the saddle, the organization's sub-Saharan African continent grew significantly, with Gabon renewing its membership in 2016 after 20 years away, Equatorial Guinea joining in 2017, and Congo coming on board in 2018, adding to existing members Nigeria and Angola. Congo in West Africa pumped 260,000 barrels per day in January, according to the latest Platts survey of OPEC Plus output, making it among the group's smallest members, though it has produced as high as 350,000 barrels per day since joining. OPEC and its Russian-led allies, known as OPEC Plus, have held their proceedings virtually since the pandemic shut down travel in spring 2020, though several delegates have said they are eager for in-person gatherings to resume. The next OPEC Plus meeting is scheduled for March 2nd online to decide on April output levels. The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) yesterday said it is focused on diversifying Nigeria's economy to stop problems created by fluctuations in prices of oil globally. CBN Governor Mr. Godwin Emefiele, who stated this in Asaba during the opening of a two-day CBN fair for stakeholders in Delta, said the bank has the mandate to grow the economy in a sustainable manner. Emefiele, who was represented by Director Corporate Communications of CBN, Mr. Osita Nwansioba, said CBN's various intervention programs were geared towards the diversification of the economy from oil. He said what the CBN is doing is to diversify the economic base of the country. We are saying that there are so many and so much that we can do. We have agriculture, we have manufactured, so why can't we deal with these things so that we'll be able to produce what we eat and eat what we produce? These are sectors that will grow the economy, create jobs, and ensure that there is export so that we'll be able to moderate our exchange rates and earn even more foreign exchange. He said the fair was aimed at sensitizing citizens on the interventions of CBN for graduates to leverage and become entrepreneurs. Before we end the news, here's a recap of our headlines. NATO, NUPENG, PDT suspend planned strike. NLNG refutes reports on operating illegal international cartels. Fuel price hits 200 naira per litre in Port Harcourt. And that's the news. I am Naomi Oleribe. Good evening.